Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to get anything you want in today's episode with Chris Donaldson. Chris Donaldson is an author, businessman, marketer, and so much more. The first question is, what's the secret to your success?
Well, that's a bit of a long story. I'll give you a bit of the background to my business anyway. I live in Northern Ireland, Belfast, which is unfortunately famous for all the wrong reasons. Everything's peaceful now, but when I was growing up during the 70s, there was basically a sort of minor civil war going on. So like a lot of people at my age, I wanted to finish my education and get out of town. So I decided to, for some strange reason, ride a motorbike to Australia. I mean, I didn't know there was flights that went there as well, but I always like to do things the difficult way. But so I left in '79 and got to London. It wasn't that very far, and the Ayatollah Khomeini took over the American embassy in Iran, if you're old enough to remember that. So that sort of stopped my plans, and I was stuck with nowhere to go on a motorbike, and it was getting into winter in Europe. So I headed down Africa, so through the Middle East, meandered down through Egypt, over the Sahara Desert on the motorbike, ended up in Cape Town. I sailed back on a yacht race and got started again in the States, but from LA up to Canada, across Canada, and down to South America. So obviously, there's a lot of things happened, a lot of things. I was only 21 at the time, so it's quite an influential age for me. After that, I went into business. I started writing a book at that stage, but I realized that sort of gave it up. Life got in the way, business got in the way. Went into the family business selling furniture, which I suppose after sort of traveling the world, I wanted to develop it a bit more than just a local furniture shop. So I turned it into sort of buying property and opened a furniture shop in London and Dublin over the years. Then about 10 years ago, the banks, as you know, the credit crunch happened. It was about 12 years ago now. So I ended up, the bank took all my properties off me, put me out of business. But using, I suppose, a bit of stubbornness and desperation and determination, I was able to self-litigate against the banks and get most of my properties back again. But meanwhile, I moved to Dubai, where I set up a fitness franchise. I started making mobile apps, and eventually became an author. But one thing is sort of the thread's gone through all my people say, what's the similarity between furniture, fitness, and mobile apps? They're all to do with marketing, and it's how you sell yourself and how you sell the product. And really, when you're marketing, if you get your head around it, it doesn't really matter what the product is. You should be able to sell it anyway, if it's a good product and you know what you're doing. So that's a bit of my life story with the last 40 years in a couple of minutes.
Thank you. I didn't really understand, though, what is the secret to your success?
Well, I think the secret is not accepting when people say you can't do that. I think the secret is pushing ahead with being determined that you have to have the confidence that what you're doing is right, and you've done enough research, and you've got backing, and you've got plans, and you've got everything you want to do in your head or on paper. And it's having the determination to put it through, to get financing, to get marketing right, to get the customers. Because generally in business, it's small business anyway, there's always a lot of people who love to say no to you. There's always roadblocks at every turn, whether it's the banks, whether it's accountants or whoever. There's people who will say no. The chances are, unless you've discovered how to make gold or something like that, it's really is obviously hugely easy to make money from. Most businesses aren't like that. Most businesses they're hard work. The entrepreneur will tell you that it's lots of hours, lots of sweat and grime, and having to push through. I suppose probably the most obvious to myself that was whenever the banks took over my properties, more through overcharging, through mishandling accounts and negligence. And I found myself having to take on the the solicitors and the judges and the barristers of the banks who had no end of pot of money to spend to self-litigate against them is it's really a sort of David and Goliath type of position that they put you in, because they've taken all your property, they've taken all your money, so you're having to invest your pension, your time, and you should be doing something more productive. So to be able to stand in front of a judge and say, listen, these guys have done something wrong. I sort of realized after this, what gave me the determination to do that was something completely different, such as driving a motorbike across the Sahara Desert, getting through the Middle East, getting through Colombia in the 80s. Places like that, you need to be pretty stubborn to get to able to do that sort of thing.
Thank you. What enabled you to awaken to your titanic power so you can feel that you can get anything you want?
Probably realizing it. I think you're brought up, I mean, anybody in the Western world, you're brought up by your family generally. You go to school, the school teachers look after you, and then you get to university, you're always looked after. You've got your friends for backup, your family, and the people teaching you, whether it's teachers or policemen or whatever it is, keeping you on the right track. And there's always somebody behind what you're doing. I find that by traveling on your own, you're getting yourself into situations that there's nobody there to get you out of it, apart from yourself. I think realizing that, especially for a boss of a company, the buck does stop with you. You need to have the resources and the determination to make the decisions that need to be made. And it's you and you alone. You can ask for advice from your accountant, from your lawyers, from your marketers, whoever. But at the end of the day, you got to say yes or no, or we'll do this, go right way or the wrong way, or right or left. It's up to you. And I think a lot of people squirm at that when it comes to that, and they're unable to make the right choice, make the easy choice rather than the right one.
Thank you. Tell us some of your biggest achievements related to anything you've done in business. Now, one thing I've noticed is you have a ton of reviews on your book, and that's not very common.
Yeah. Well, probably writing the book was the one of the things I'm most proud of. I mean, I've run several businesses, as I said. I don't feel, I mean, there's many people can do that, but I guess I went to school at the time when we didn't have people who are autistic or on the spectrum or dyslexic or anything like that. We were just, if you weren't very good at school, you were just stupid and you got sent to the corner. And at our day, everybody's got labels for these things now. So I was never very good at academia and writing English, but I think for somebody who's come out of that background and write a best-selling novel on Amazon all over the world is quite. And what really made me realize that, I suppose, without pulling my head too much, is reading the reviews. As you say, some of them are quite. Instead of a lot of just has been a good story and I've got a lot out of it, but a lot of people said that it's really helped change their mind and give them reason to go on. I had one guy rang from a hospital. His son was getting back surgery, and he found reading my story to his son in between the surgery and between treatments will help to give him the motivation to keep going on and to get over the bother. So your life is full of tribulations and trials, and sometimes you just need a kick to keep somebody behind you.
Thank you. But tell us more specifically. Okay, you run several businesses, but give us some specific stats, numbers, anything you can give us to give us an idea of the caliber of person that you are. Now, I've noticed on Amazon, you have, am I right in saying you have over 1,000 reviews, or am I wrong there?
You're right. Yeah, I think it's about 1,400, and most of them are 5 stars. So it's a big, comes up too much of a big head. I haven't actually seen too many books with a higher star rating on it, so it's ticking the boxes for a lot of people.
Yeah, so this is a massive thing, at least in my eyes as a publisher.
Yeah.
Secondly, tell us more about how did you manage to do that? Because I think that a lot of authors want to have a best-selling book, and but having a best-selling book that ends up having 1,000 reviews, considering that most people don't even leave a review, I'm just wondering, do you have an idea of how many books roughly you have sold?
It's very difficult because Amazon, they're not a big company, but you can't do without them. They don't tell you how many they've sold. They just send you various snippets of money every once in a while from different countries. It's all very confusing. But probably well over 12,000 at this stage, 12, maybe 20. Because it's an audiobook, it's ebook, paperback and hardback, so it is quite, and then I'm obviously selling some myself as well.
Thank you. So tell us, how did you manage to get that achievement?
I've always enjoyed learning things. Probably one of my biggest failings is once I know how to do it, it's continuing on to do the same thing. If I would get bored if I'm going back to when I started running a furniture shop. Every day is much the same when you're running a shop because the same customers are buying the same sort of your product. You've got a level in the market that you know who's coming in. I'm much better at starting things than I am at continuing. But I guess I was self-taught because I went online. There's the beauty about the internet these days is everything's in front of you. You just need to find it. You know, if you want somebody to tell you how to write a book, you Google it and you'll find, you just have to sort of find enough people. You just need to find one that's right for you. Whereas like 30 years ago, it was very difficult to get. I started writing the book 30, 40 years ago. And for somebody who's never done it before, it's much more cumbersome and more difficult to do it. I mean, which has been great for a lot of authors, but bad in a way because there's so many books out there now. I think there's, oh God, I can't remember what the statistic is of how many books get uploaded onto Amazon every week. It's hard to then sort you out from the wheat and the chaff that to make your book stand up above the others. And I think the fact that I've been doing marketing and sales all my life has sort of helped. I've been able to sell the book to make the choices that need made there too, you know. But there's everything you want to do is out. If you want to do, no matter what it is you want to do, there's all the information is out there now. And it's you just need to have a determination to follow.
Okay, but tell us some exact and very specific examples of some other achievements that you've had, some stats related to other businesses that you've done, so we can get an idea of the kind of things that you've done.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, all but like that, I suppose mobile apps is the most recent one. I'm sort of pensioner now as such. What do you have in the States? What do you call it in the States when you're over you finish work as a pensioner?
I don't know. I live in the UK, so I don't know.
All right. Yeah, when I went to Dubai after the bank took my property, put me out of business effectively. I started a mobile app company. I was starting with bring my marketing into selling apps for different companies. And we had some fairly high profile ones with Mercedes, Aston Martin, Honda, people like that. But I would be going into meetings with the directors and the marketing guys and the people who made the decisions. It's fairly high up companies, high up in the company. And they'd be asking me, could I do this and could I do that? And very often they would ask me to do things. I hadn't a clue what they were talking about. But I realized very quickly, you get two choices. You could say yes or no. If you say no, well, the conversation's over. You're not going to be able to supply them what they need. So you end up saying, yes, I can do that for you. And then you go home, you make a note of it, and you go home and Google it. What the hell is that they're talking about? It was actually having to learn from the wrong way. You should know something first and then be able to sell it. But I was actually having to tell people I could do it without knowing if I could or not. And you always can. You know somebody to work out to do it for you, or to somebody, a young fellow, teenagers who are used to working on apps, who love their computers, but who haven't a clue with how business runs, how business needs to market their product. So I would have to tell them what to do, and they would be the engine to actually do the IT work. I think it was probably one of the strangest things I've ever done is running a mobile app company from scratch, opening a mobile app company from scratch.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. So tell us how entrepreneurs can get anything they want with your formula.
Well, there's no money back guarantee on that, I'm afraid. I think if you sit and sticking your head out in front, sticking your nose out there to get at it and just do it. I mean, I think, as I said before, there's always people to say no and put you off doing something. I think not only do you have to have the determination, but you have to be fairly thick-skinned as well, and refuse to believe it whenever people do say no. And I think because there's so much negativity around, and certainly business, it's very easy for you to listen to them, to other people's negativity, and be put off doing it yourself. It's one thing if somebody tells you what to do and you're learning from them, but another thing, very often you're in a position that you're learning what people you're talking to that's so negative. You sort of retreat back into your safe place, and not proceed with what is in your head, what your was in the morning. By the afternoon, you're so disillusioned. So it's a matter of ignoring, if you believe in yourself, product, ignoring what other people say, and go ahead with it.
Thank you. What about your book? Is it called The Wrong Way or Going the Wrong Way, or?
It's called Going the Wrong Way because when I was halfway through writing the book, I realized I'd started off leaving to go to America, to go to Australia, and I ended up in Argentina. So from a geographical point of view, you can't go much more wrong than that. But there's also full of instances as well. When I was writing it, I realized that there's many other times in business, personal things, very often going the other way that everybody else is going in business, and in your life is sometimes the best way. If you just follow everybody else, you're not going to achieve very much, because you're only going to, in business, get the handouts that somebody ahead of you has forgotten maybe. But if you can go with a different route, different road, and developing a product or whatever else it is, you're cutting the cloth through your lead before anybody's caught up with you. You've got a head start on other people, on your competitors. So there's, well, doubts that I suppose one of it is you're going ahead to do something, you're a trailblazer to do that. But the other people haven't done that before you, is maybe it was not such a good idea. So you have to make sure that that's not the reason that nobody else is going the wrong way.
Thank you. What do you feel was the winning thing? What was the thing that gave you the edge in order to win in life, so you can get anything you wanted?
I suppose it's probably by the fact that I've liked to learn new things, and I'm always open to using new technologies and new processes. I'm writing a book, a follow-up book. Last 2 years ago, one of my friends said to me, "Well, you never actually got to Australia." So we started riding our bikes to Australia at the age, well, I was 60, he was 50. And the bike is the same bike I used 40 years ago, so it's 45 years old. So we finally got to Australia last year. So I suppose that's an indication of my determination. If I don't get somewhere 43 years later, I'll still be at it, trying to get there.
What do you feel you learned from your trips that entrepreneurs can learn from as well?
Listening to people and getting people not believing what you're told. I mean, given an example, Iran was the country that stopped me going east 40 odd years ago. Whenever I got there this year, it was quite difficult to get a visa in and out again. But what I realized, when you're talking to people in the country, they're actually the nicest people. They're nicer than anybody else I've met in the world, practically, because they're so cut off. They wanted you to their country, and were very hospitable, very nice, which was a complete sort of opposite of what we've been told by the Western media, that they're the axis of evil themselves, whereas you meet the guys in the country and they're just nice people, the same as you can in any country. So I suppose from that you learn, don't take first impressions, keep an open mind, and listen as well as talk. So my wife says we've got 2 ears and one mouth, so we should listen to what goes out, comes in, spiting what goes out.
Thank you. What inspired you to write your book?
There's a guy called Ted Simon, who's an author. He did what I did in the early 70s, and he was writing his book whenever I was away traveling. So he was very much the inspiration to write the book. But then I read his book and I thought, well, it's an excellent book. I don't think I could do as well as that. So I put it down and gave up for 40 years. It was only when I looked at the story again, I realized that he was 45 years old. He was a professional journalist working for the Sunday Times when he was doing the journey. Whereas I was just out of college, I had hardly any money, and I didn't know where I was going. So it's a completely different book. So it's two people can be in one position or one country, the same country, apart from each other, but because their personalities are different, their lifestyles different, they'll get two completely different impressions and meet different people, sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's probably been my inspiration at that stage.
Thank you. How can entrepreneurs awaken to their titanic power so they can achieve anything they want?
Get off your ass and get on, go and do it. Don't dream about it. Don't think about it. I think you can overthink about things sometimes. You can think your way into doing something and think your way out of it again. As I say, it's about the negativity from other people. Comes over in a wave if you're not careful, and people will actually talk you out of doing what you wanted to do. There's also a lot of people out there who don't want you to be successful because they're not successful themselves. They don't see why you should be a success. So there's always a bit of a backstabbing as well as just giving you sort of their opinions, So it's.
Thank you. What's your message to entrepreneurs worldwide?
Decide what you want to do and get off your ass and do it, as I say, because the only person holding you back is yourself. There's always a way, there's always going to be obstacles, but there's always going to be ways around those obstacles. You just got to have the time and determination to find it.
Thank you. What I'm getting as well, maybe from your book, although I haven't read it, is that perhaps there is no wrong way. There's just a way for you to live your life. And sometimes you're going on a path that you weren't expecting, but you will end up perhaps in a better place than you were meant to go on initially. Am I right in saying that? Is that the idea behind your book?
I think so. I mean, as you said, there is the wrong way very often is the right way, because it's only the wrong way because nobody else has done it. But it's also sometimes a more difficult route as well. Rather than walking around the mountain, if you walk over the top of it. But you don't get anything with life. You don't get anything out of a challenge or anything out of life unless it is a challenge, I believe. It's whenever you have an adventure, you do something more difficult than normal, put yourself on the edge. That's when you start enjoying life. That's when you start getting something out of it. And my new book is first book very much a 21-year-old starting off, whereas now I find at the age, I'm 66 now, but a lot of friends are retiring, giving up work, and they actually don't know what to do with themselves. They've worked all their lives thinking it'd be great when I get to retire, I'll have lots of time. And because they're older, they haven't the same energy they used to have. They haven't maybe the same fitness they used to have. And it's easy to talk themselves out of actually doing it, which is very, very depressing that you've worked all your life to be in a position that you can do things. You've got the money, you've got the time. And because you haven't got the energy or the motivation, probably more than that, to do it, just sit and watch Netflix all day.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential, so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.